by battle, yeah.
Press the button whenever.
You want me to go? You want to go?
It's up to you.
Okay, here we go.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Guess we'll wait until all the cars are out on the track, right?
Hmm?
Wait until all the cars are out.
Unless you wanted to just go in while they're like staging that up and be like, oh, welcome back to competition, Great Lakes ProAm, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter.
Good morning, Lake Erie Speedway. Saturday morning, we got some beautiful weather again, and we're here for the top 16 competition. So, as you can see, all the cars coming out on track now. We're going to line them up. We're going to go ahead and introduce all the drivers, maybe talk about some sponsors, what kind of cars they're driving, what kind of motors they got under the hood, and we should have a pretty sweet day of driving today. Like we were talking about yesterday, lots of talent out here on the track, and it's going to be super cool to see these guys go at it and compete to possibly take home a Pro-Am license this year. So I'm up here in the booth with Ben, and we're excited to be able to commentate the whole thing for you guys.
Morning, Brian. Glad to join you here this morning and excited to get the action underway here today. We have a stacked lineup of drivers, the 16 best from yesterday to compete for the top 3 spots here in round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series presented by Moty's Lubricants. So, going to be an exciting day. We had the $100 top qualifier yesterday to Adam Heisman, putting down a solid 96 run. He's going to try to pick up where he left off yesterday, and everything's going to be really exciting here. So, as we talked about yesterday, big thing's going to be just being smooth, being committed to those zones, filling them, and, getting in and out of them smoothly. So as long as these guys are able to do that and provide a chaseable lead, they should have a good success formula right there in itself, Brian. And again, before we get started, just a special thank you to Formula Drift for sanctioning the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. And again, the champion of the series will receive their Link ECU Pro Spec license, as well as the top 3 will receive a Link ECU, along with many other things. We have a $5,500 point fund to the top 5 in the series over the whole year. So going to be exciting, and $1,000 up for grab today to that number 1 finisher in competition.
So obviously, that $1,000 could be pretty substantial to help out with, obviously fuel costs, tire costs, things like that. So, these guys aren't just coming out for, just to drive for hobbyists. You know what I mean? They're coming out, they're competing, they're trying real hard to come home with a pocket full of cash. And up here on the screen, you're going to see our layout. So obviously, you're going to start in the chicane. You're going to come out right where the cones are, and at that red zone there is where you need to initiate by. And you're going to come into rear zone 1, swinging out to a decel zone, and then into rear zone 2, another decel zone, the touch and go, and then rear zone 3, up and out. So what the judges are looking for is pretty much just to keep your tires within that zone there and to ride it out throughout its entirety. Yesterday we saw, some people having trouble filling out the zones. Today it's going to be critical, especially, doing tandem runs now to maintain those zones and, set good lead and chase runs for both drivers.
Absolutely, and as we saw yesterday, the track's always evolving. So we had a really hard jam session last night at 11 p.m. There's a lot of rubber down on the track from filling those zones in the Matt's Erie weekend. So going to be interesting to see how these guys handle that. They did have some practice this morning, so they are a little bit familiar with how the track has changed overnight. So we'll see how these guys handle that track change, the weather change. A little bit cooler here today, a little bit more overcast, so maybe a little bit less slick on that hot rubber.
Yeah, they were definitely looking good this morning in practice, so I think they're going to put on a real good show for us today. Very excited to see the driving. And, like we were discussing yesterday, we got a couple of new faces out here, such as, Jacob Schuster is making his debut into Pro-Am driving. Travis Holbrook. Let's see who else.
Ricky Gaston, I believe, is also a new face here. I don't believe that he has made a round yet, so another one that's a new face to us.
Yeah, so hopefully with driving yesterday, everyone's shaking off the cobwebs, everyone's got the nerves out of them, and everyone's just ready to boogie today and put on a good show for those of you at home and those of you here at Speedway with us.
As you can see up on the live stream, if you're joining us from home right now, you can see our competitors' cars sitting there in outside zone number 2. And I'd like to just touch on what a smorgasbord of cars we have here. Ford Mustang, we got G Series, we got E30, C5, a Fox body, all kinds of different stuff out here. So not the run-of-the-mill cars that you might see every week at Formula Drift,
Yeah, like we discussed yesterday, definitely cool to see all the diversity out here. Lots of sweet cars out there on track, and it's going to be cool to see. Once we start getting into lower horsepower cars, trying to keep up with higher horsepower cars, and vice versa. I don't imagine it to be as easy to maintain all of that high horsepower when you're trying to follow a slower car. So it's going to be interesting to see these guys, have to switch up their driving habits throughout the day, depending on who they're competing with here.
Before we get our opening ceremony started here, I just want to take a second to say, if you're joining us on the stream, give the stream a share. Tag a friend in the comments that needs to see the action happen here today at Lake Erie Speedway. We love to have you guys. Drop a comment. Let us know which driver you're rooting for and where you're watching from. We'd love to know. Far and wide, we have drivers from far and wide. I'm sure that we have viewers from far and wide, and we'd love to hear your input on who you'd like to win here today. One more thing I wanted to touch on. If you didn't catch us in qualifying yesterday on the live stream or here on the property, the track map's not up on the live stream anymore, but I just wanted to touch on that commitment to the zones. If you see somebody knocking those cones down in outside zone 1, that's a little too deep. They're actually probably dropping some tires. Sometimes the Corvette can overhang that zone a little bit and take out some of those cones. And also, if you're seeing these guys riding walls, that is also not the objective in outside zone 2 or the touch and go either. So want to make sure that these guys are in the zones but not leaving the zones. So if you're watching at home, just trying to give you the information as you watch so that you can tell why maybe a decision gets made on the judging stand.
Alrighty, we would like to ask everyone to stand for the Canadian national anthem, followed by the American anthem.
True patriot love.
jump right into the order.
So what would it be? Adam Heisman. Oh, Aaron Farrell. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I could do that if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty, so now it's time to announce the drivers. We're going to go ahead left to right if you're looking from where I'm sitting. From where you guys are sitting, it might be reversed. But starting off, Adam Heisman with a Ford Mustang. Next, we got Aaron Farrell with a Infiniti G35. Mike Sampson with a BMW E30. Ricky Gaston with a Chevy C5 Corvette. Chad Anderson with his 2002 BMW 325i. Taylor Braun and his Ford Mustang. Alan Boss and his Nissan 350Z. Matt Moncallian with his Nissan 350Z as well. Jacob Schuster with his BMW E36. Tony Schmidt with his Chevy Corvette. Aaron Spiegel with his 350Z. Mike Steele with his 240SX. Elliott Rose with his Scion FRS. Kevin Ferraro with his BMW 328IS. Kevin Rodriguez with his 350Z.
I got it.
And Travis Holbrook driving the G35 as well. So let's give it up for all the drivers. Good luck, everyone, and hopefully you guys have a great day.
The sun is shining. It's partly cloudy in northeast Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful day for some drifting. Lake Erie Speedway. Are you ready? One other little talking point here as we wait for these guys to head back pit side. Travis Holbrook and Aaron Farrell are actually going to be competing in the same car. Aaron is the 16 seed. We'll see him up here first against Adam Heisman. Travis Holbrook will be the 12th seed going against the 5 seed Alan Boss on the bottom side to the left side of the bracket. So if these guys end up coming head to head, we're going to have an interesting situation, which I believe is going to lead to a forfeit, if that is the case. But Travis had some technical difficulties trying to wrap up his 350Z for competition here for round number 1. So as we had talked about, if you weren't in the qualifying live stream yesterday, a really good friend there in Aaron Farrell to let him compete in his car that he had never really driven before either.
Yeah, if that happens, it's going to be super interesting to see what kind of conclusion we come to if they gotta, go against each other in the same car. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to handle that. I'm sure that would be a first for everyone. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, we'll figure it out.
Taking a beautiful look on the drone here of Lake Erie Speedway. You can see the racing surface, our grandstands. The pits are packed here again this morning. The Rusty Will's over there getting ready to crank out breakfast for everybody. So everybody having a good time. As I had mentioned before, the whole weekend is really a big party, a family event. So as you can see here, everybody slowly starting to make their way out of their campers and ready to watch some action as these guys get ready. Adam Heisman leaving us a little smoke show, heading over to the grid. So starting off here, we're going to see the number 1 seed, Adam Heisman, against the 16 seed, Aaron Farrell, in the orange G. Going to give these guys a chance to scrub some heat into those tires there in the back stretch. If you're watching at home and you haven't before, you know, when these guys go down into turn number 1, they want to have some heat in those front tires so that they can stick that initiation as hard as they can. And I would imagine here between Adam, as you see the bracket up on the live stream here at the moment, but you know, probably quite a bit of horsepower difference here between Heisman and Farrell. So interesting to see here. We'll see how Aaron's able to keep up on his chase run.
So this is going to be super interesting, Ben, as you know, as you discussed, or as we discussed earlier. You know, the horsepower differences in these cars, I'm not exactly sure how much horsepower that Mustang's making, nor do I really know how much the G35 makes. But I imagine they're probably, you know, the Mustang might have 100 more horsepower. I don't know. It'd be hard to assume. But it will be interesting to see with the little bit of horsepower difference and obviously completely different chassis, how these cars are going to compare with each other. You know, if we were doing like a 350Z versus a G35, you know, very similar chassis, G35 just being a little bit longer, it'd be a little bit more even. But these are two completely different cars, and I'm really excited to see what these drivers are going to lay down for us here today.
Absolutely. If you were with us yesterday in qualifying, you know, Adam was the number 1 qualifier, a ton of angle, a ton of speed in that car, so he's certainly got some power under the hood of that Mustang. As we're getting ready to set our first battle, both drivers pull up to the grid. Heisman in the lead. Farrell will be in chase. LS3 under the hood of the Ford Mustang. VQ under the hood of the G35. First battle of the day, ready to roll off. Lights are on. And lights are off. Maybe a little technical difficulty with the light there. Let's try it again. Lights come back on. Heisman's off. Farrell and chase. Heisman initiates into outer zone 1. Farrell, quick straighten there. Another straighten from Farrell. Heisman filling outside zone number 1. Very nice. Tons of smoke. Tons of commitment to the throttle. Farrell still there. Pretty wide for Heisman into the touch and go. Gets right on out there. Sticks it into the touch and go. Farrell still in chase. Going into outside zone number 3. A little bit wide there from Farrell. Going to end up sending him a little bit narrow coming out of outside zone number 3. But what a first lead there for Adam Heisman. That's how it's done, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, you know, even yesterday, obviously, he put down a phenomenal run. What a consistent driver. A super good lap, you know, first lap of the day. You know, like we've been saying, the nerves are there, but, I mean, he's not showing it. I mean, Heisman gets behind the wheel of that thing, and he wheels that Mustang. I'm going to talk to him later and figure out what's done to that car, because that car looks super dialed in.
Yeah, and you could see, you know, Aaron's first time in competition here, so gets in there, maybe some nerves. I did hear a couple of guys chatting about it being tricky to get into outside zone number 1, having some trouble scrubbing the front tires. So we'll flip the roles here. Aaron Farrell to the lead. Adam Heisman now in chase as we get ready to send them down. Lights are on. And off goes Aaron Farrell through the chicane. Heisman in chase. Farrell initiates. Very nice through outside zone number 1. Heisman right there on his quarter. Following up a little bit shallower than Aaron. Big angle from Aaron coming out of outside zone number 2, out to the touch and go. And heading off into outside zone number 3. Heisman right there against Aaron Farrell. Aaron just not able to fill that outside zone, but almost a collision at the end of the run there. But absolutely killer job by Adam on following Aaron's line. So as we see here on the live stream and the replay, he initiates, matches the angle. He's a little bit shallower than what that Aaron is, trying to close that gap up a little bit. He closes up going into outside zone number 2, ends up a little bit shallow, but matching that angle very nicely. So a very good lead here for Aaron on the backside of this, and a really great chase from Adam. So the number 1 qualifier, showing why he was the number 1 qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's very consistent with his runs. Especially the lead runs. The chase run, still a very good run, but definitely really nice on the lead run here. So it looks like unanimous decision for Adam Heisman, taking the win for the first competition run of the day. Next up, we've got Mike Sampson and Ricky Gaston. Mike Sampson in his BMW E30 and Ricky in that beautiful purple Corvette.
Mike Sampson in his E30 will lead. Lights coming on. Sean Callahan checking in, making sure everybody's ready to go. Lights are out. Mike Sampson is off. Enters into outside zone number 1. Ricky right there. A little bit of a correction from Ricky. Solid outside zone number 1 for Mike. Nice and smooth. Fills outside zone number 2 beautifully. Ricky right there. Big snap to angle. They're throwing it down here in run number 2. Mike Sampson and Ricky Gaston into outside zone number 3, filling all the zones beautifully. You see a little bit lack of proximity there from Ricky, but a great job of matching that line and angle all the way through the run. Solid lead there from Mike Sampson.
Yeah, so I'd say with both of these cars, obviously that BMW's LS swapped, so that was a pretty good matchup. I'm sure they have similar power numbers. They're both phenomenal drivers, and I thought that was really, really good for their first lap first competition lap of the day. Excited to see with it swapped up how Mike's gonna be able to keep up with that Corvette. It's definitely gonna be a good run to watch for sure.
And you can see here in the replay, Ricky kind of cutting the line just a little bit, trying to gain that proximity. Nothing too serious, but an overall solid chase there from Ricky. So we'll see how he can do here in the lead. Getting ready to send him for run number 2. Ricky Gaston in the lead. Mike Sampson in chase. Beautiful livery on that E30. Shout out to the Swamp Kids. Ricky Gaston into outside zone number. Oh, almost some contact as Gaston did not like that initiation. Not exactly sure what happened there. Cone was hit, so we're going to have a restart here.
You're the best. I'd kiss you from here if I could.
If I could.
Oh, I was mic'd up. I'm sure.
Oh, there you go.
No, I put one in. Thank you. It's hitting me pretty hard today.
All right, we'll try it again. Ricky Gaston in the lead. Mike Sampson in chase. Mike aggressive out the chicane. Cone down again
cone
for Ricky Gaston. That last cone of the chicane, just unable to clear it. How many tries did they get at that? So only 3 tries on this start. So Ricky's got one more shot here on this restart here.
So I guess similar to most sports, it's a 3 strikes and you're out type deal. So hopefully this time he can avoid that cone and we can get a clean run from these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, just from the looks of these first two, unless Ricky's been checking up after hitting that cone, it looks like Mike's going to be real aggressive going into outside zone number 1. So looking forward to making the start. Sean Callahan stopping by, letting Ricky know. So we'll see what he does here. Maybe a little bit more conservative out of the chicane. Lights are out. Ricky's rolling. He's out. No cones hit. Mike Sampson right there at the quarter initiates right on his door.
Wow, that's tight.
And he is sticking it right on his door. Coming out outside zone number 1. Really good line from Ricky. Really nice proximity here from Mike Sampson. Nice snap in transition to the touch and go. Mike right there. Absolutely phenomenal driving from Mike Sampson and Ricky Gaston, filling all these zones, giving him something to chase. How's about that one, Lake Erie Speedway?
Let's give it up for these guys. That was awesome. Great run, guys.
Let's go.
Get the wave going. Should we try to get the wave going in the bleachers?
So a tight battle here in our second battle of the day between Mike Sampson and Ricky Gaston. Both really nice leads. Look at this proximity, though, by Sampson here in the replay on the live stream. Cuts a little bit out of outside zone number 2 to close in on that proximity. But then right back to it, Ricky coming up a little bit short on the touch and go. And then into outside zone number 3, both feel very nice. Mike's right there on the door. So we're waiting for a decision. But what a run, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was that's what we're here for, man. You put down runs like that, the crowd gets amped. We get amped up here. Keep it coming, guys. We want these close tandems. We want these good battles. Make it hard for these judges to decide.
Awaiting a decision. And a unanimous Mike Sampson is going to move on to round number 2 and advance into the grade 8. Up next, we have Chad Anderson in his Coyote swapped BMW and Taylor Braun in his Ford Mustang.
So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. I mean, if you think about it, they're kind of the same power plant, but one was made, 20 years earlier than the other. So this will be certainly interesting to watch.
Chad Anderson, Taylor Braun into outside zone number 1. Chad Anderson painting that yellow line against the back outside zone number 1. Taylor Braun right there with him. A big lunge from Taylor into outside zone number 2. Going to leave him very, very short. In a straighten here from Taylor as Chad heads into the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Taylor right there up against his door. Very good lead run there from Chad Anderson. Just a little bit of trouble there going into outside zone number 2 for Taylor Braun. Maybe a little bit too much front grip in there. Got a little bit choked up behind Chad there. As we take a look at the replay on the live stream. Good initiation here from Chad. Straight to that outside yellow line, filling that zone beautifully. Taylor right there, just a little bit shallower on outside zone number 1 into outside zone number 2. You see that hard flick and lunge from Taylor, and then almost all the way up to the headlights of Chad Anderson. And then that just kind of threw off his rhythm into the touch and go. Then to outside zone number 3, a good recovery for Taylor.
So I would like to add, when you're in the groove here in the outer zones, it's going to be a little bit easier if you have more power to kind of keep the momentum going in the car. So even if you're, sliding sideways kind of slow, as soon as you blip that throttle, if you have the power, you have the torque there, it certainly makes it a bit easier to carry your momentum throughout the corners. So power plays a big aspect into how you could really put down a good lap here.
Technical problems for Chad Anderson after that lead run, so he's going to take his 5-minute competition timeout. We're going to go ahead and move on to Alan Boss and Travis Holbrook. So if you're watching the stream, don't be confused. You did see this car driven by Aaron Farrell against Adam Heisman. Heisman took the win against Aaron Farrell. So if Travis Holbrook is able to take the win against Alan Boss, we will not have that predicament that we talked about, pre-competition of somebody having to forfeit because they're driving the same car. So Alan Boss up at the line now. Travis Holbrook pulling down to scrub some heat into his front tires.
So this is going to be one of those instances where we have a huge power fluctuation between the two cars. Obviously, that Z is making significantly more power than the G chassis. So it's going to be super interesting to see how the G chassis keeps up with the Z, and then flip-flopped how the higher power car maintains proximity with the G. Me personally, I don't really have a higher horsepower car, so I don't know how it works keeping up with the lower horsepower cars. I am the lower horsepower car, so that's really the only experience I have with that. But it'll be certainly interesting to see how the driving style changes between where these guys get lined up on different cars out here on the course.
Lights are out. Alan Boss is off in the lead. Travis Holbrook and Chase outside zone number 1. You see that power difference between Travis and Alan. Alan painting down that yellow outside line again in outside zone number 1. Travis Holbrook right there. Big angle from Holbrook and Chase. Gets checked up. Maybe a loss of power. Straightens. Alan going to continue on into the touch and go outside zone number 3. Alan filling all the zones beautifully. Tough luck for Travis there. He was on a really nice chase run considering that horsepower difference that is there. And then just had a little bit of trouble coming out of outside zone number 2. Maybe a little loss of power. So we see up here on the replay, we'll take a look at it. Outside zone number 1, Alan Boss right there against that yellow outside line of the zone. Can see Travis right there. And then into outside zone number 2, he's right there, gets checked up and straightens. Not exactly sure what happened, so tough break there for Travis as he was having a really nice chase run there. And we'll flip the rolls around. Travis to the lead, Alan in the chase, and ready to roll back up at the line. Lights are on, lights are off. Travis Holbrook in the lead, Alan Boss in chase. Travis initiates outside zone number 1. Alan right there, matching the line and angle of Travis very well. Right there against the bumper, right to the door. Painting Travis's car, trying to anyway, paint it black, as he's right there into outside zone number 3. Absolutely phenomenal chase run there by Alan Boss.
Yeah, let's give it up for Alan Boss on that one, and Travis for laying down a great lead run for him. That was phenomenal. That was a really good run to watch. So I want to add that it's very important that for the chase driver to succeed, the lead driver needs to lay down a solid run. If you get a sloppy lead run, it's very hard to chase. But Travis laid down a really good run for Alan Boss to keep around his door there, keep the proximity tight. So that's exactly what we're looking to see here, and that was really good performance by both drivers.
As we're taking a look at the proximity here in the replay, Alan in that LS3 just thrusting him right up against the door of Travis's G, rolling the smoke. Big power, big tire, big smoke. Always exciting to watch Alan drive, as well as pretty much almost everybody in our field is extremely talented. So let's see here as the judges are deliberating. Maybach, Kelly, Knapp, Alan Boss is going to take the win against Travis Holbrook and advance to round number 2. Chad Anderson pit side trying to fix a problem that he had in that first lead run. He's got about 2 minutes left on his competition timeout. See if he's able to get that mended and back on track. As he's always a threat when he competes with the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. Lots of power under the hood of that BMW, so we'll see what happens here. As the next run would have been Taylor Braun in the lead and Chad in chase. And if you recall, Chad's lead, very good lead from Chad, so hopefully he can get that fixed and get back out here and get the chance to advance on to round number 2. As we take a look at the beautiful Lake Erie Speedway in northeast Pennsylvania, it's a beautiful day out here, about 75 degrees or so, partly overcast, so not getting that hard beat down on the track surface here. As we take a look down the backstretch, this is where these guys scrub in the heat to their tires. And shout out to all of our drone flyers for the beautiful cinematics here all weekend for the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. And if you didn't catch it last night, after the qualifying live stream ended, these guys had a ball flying their drones around for the Matt's Erie event. And there's a lot of really cool footage. If you jump back, head over to the YouTube and the Facebook, you can catch it in advance to the end of the stream. You'll see a ton of shredding from our A group drivers, B group drivers, and our C group drivers. Taylor Braun back on track, Chad Anderson back on track, so able to mend that problem. See if he's got it totally fixed. Hopefully it doesn't rear its head here in this run, Brian.
Yeah, hopefully whatever he had going on. I did get a couple messages saying that his driver front tire, or I'm sorry, the rear driver tire, I guess was not on the rim. So I guess he popped the tire off the wheel, and hopefully he's got it figured out, and he can put down a good run for us.
Chad Anderson from Michigan, Taylor Braun from New York. The smorgasbord, the melting pot of what America is. You're witnessing it here at the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series at Lake Erie Speedway as well. We pull them far and wide. Lights are getting ready to go on as these guys sitting in grid.
Looks like the drivers are getting ready. And they're off. Taylor Braun in the lead. Chad Anderson chasing.
Taylor Braun into outside zone number 1, filling the zone very nicely all the way through outside zone number 1. Chad Anderson right on his door, snap to transition, a little straighten from Anderson into outside zone number 2. Out to the touch and go, a solid lead run here by Taylor Braun, a little bit shallow on the touch and go. Chad Anderson right up against his door into outside zone number 3, right up against that Coca-Cola wall. How's about it? How's about that chase from Chad Anderson and a great lead by Taylor Braun?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a solid run by both drivers. Like we discussed last time, you know, it's super crucial to put a good lead run down for the chase driver to be able to, you know, hit where he needs to be on the course and to be able to keep that proximity tight with the lead driver. So props to Taylor Braun for putting on a good lead, and Chad Anderson really keeping it on his door.
And I mean, you know, these guys make this stuff look easy. You know, I could tell you as a driver, I'm sure Brian could tell you as a driver, when you're in that kind of proximity and chase, you have to have a lot of trust in that lead driver. And Chad Anderson had a load of trust on his shoulders there as he was ready to paint that Serve Pro sticker right off of Taylor's door. As we wait for the judges to deliberate on a decision here,
So we just want to give a shout out to Moty's for presenting us with this Great Lakes ProAm series. Shout out to everyone that sponsors the track. Shout out to everyone that came out here to drive with us today. Once the competition's complete, everyone's going to be out on track. We're going to get C group, B group, A group out there. Lots of drivers here, like we discussed yesterday. 186 drivers in total registered for this event. I know that sounds like a lot. People are probably thinking, how am I going to get any seat time with that many drivers? But I can assure you, obviously people run into issues. Things happen. People need to cool down their cars. People need to cool down themselves. It's physically a lot. I mean, it's emotionally, physically, it's a lot to be out there driving consistently. So, obviously you got to give yourself a break. You got to give the car a break. And that just gives everyone an opportunity to get plenty of seat time out there. Make sure you bring enough tires because you'll be going through them.
All right, so decision is in on Anderson versus Braun. We're going to have a one more time, so we get to see the great action again between Braun and Anderson. So a little bit of a technicality there, in that run with a D-bead from Anderson. Gonna show one more time here as both guys put down a really nice lead run. Both guys had a really solid chase run. We're getting ready to set grid for the next battle. Is gonna see Matt Moncallian in his 350Z versus Jacob Schuster in his BMW. Both of these drivers hailing from the state of New York, so not too far away from the Speedway. Both regulars at our Drift Mats Erie weekends. Matt Moncallian will have the lead. Jacob Schuster will be in chase.
So I know Matt Moncallian just swapped out the power plant on that car, and we were seeing up here that he was having some trouble with it, but everything seems to be good now. He's ready to go, and super excited to see him lay down this lap. Like I said yesterday, that's just such a unique thing to do, is put that K series into a Z car. They're getting more and more popular because the parts are readily available, and as much as people don't like to hear it, Honda makes a great motor. So very excited to see how they go here.
Matt Moncallian in the lead. Jacob Schuster in chase. Moncallian outside zone number 1. Nice and deep through outside zone number 1. Schuster doing a good job of mimicking that line and angle. Getting into outside zone number 2. About a car length gap in proximity. Nice flick in transition by Schuster. Closes right up against Moncallian. Moncallian out to outside zone number 3. Filling the zone beautifully, and Schuster comes up just a little bit short. So you could tell a little bit of a difference in the grip levels between those cars as Moncallian's got that thing dialed in.
Yeah, it always seems like Matt is, really, really good at dialing in his car. I mean, whenever we see him out here, he just does a phenomenal job on getting that car set up, and he could wheel the hell out of that 350Z. He actually just welded his turbo manifold back together, so whoever laid down the dimes, they must have done a halfway decent job because it looked really good out there. And, from yesterday, it looks like Jacob Schuster's getting a little bit more comfortable with the whole competition setting. So really happy to see that, especially for his debut here. Matt did compete last year, so, he's always a comfortable driver behind the seat of that Z. Always fun to watch him thrash out there.
So the roles will flip. Schuster to the lead. Moncallian now going to chase in his purple 350Z. Lights are on. And Schuster leads Moncallian out of the chicane into outside zone number 1. Right up against that yellow line on the outside of the zone. Leaves outside zone 1 a little bit early. Moncallian right there in chase. Good proximity, good line from Moncallian, mimicking that angle and line. Moncallian right up against the door of Schuster, going into outside zone number 3. A little bit wide there from Matt as Schuster leads outside zone number 3 a little bit early. A solid lead run from Schuster and a great chase from Moncallian with great proximity. And, I hate to sound like a broken record, but, that's what it's all about in the chase, mimicking that line, that angle, and that lead driver giving him a good line to follow. As you can see here in the live stream replay, Schuster a little bit deep into outside zone number 1, maybe dropping a tire over that yellow line into outside zone number 2. Gets in there good, stays in there good to the touch and go. Just nicks the corner of the touch and go. Great proximity from Moncallian all the way through the run. And then a little bit deep there from Moncallian into outside zone number 3. So we'll see what happens here as we're getting ready for the one more time battle between Anderson and Braun.
And I got to stress, obviously, Ben, you and I were driving quite a bit together last night. Maintaining those zones is not an easy thing to do. Obviously, when we're out driving like hobbyists, I guess you could say, it's obviously not crucial for us to maintain zones like these competition drivers. Props to them for doing such a great job out here and maintaining the zones, good lead runs, good chase runs. We love to see it. It looks like we have a unanimous decision from Matt Moncallian. Congratulations, Matt. You're going to advance.
Chad Anderson, Taylor Braun, one more time battle, getting ready to roll off the line here. Again, Chad Anderson driving that E46 with a Coyote under the hood. If you weren't on the live stream for qualifying yesterday, you got to go check that car out. The detail in that build is absolutely phenomenal. Chad Anderson through the chicane, Taylor Braun and chase into outside zone number 1. Anderson, again, just filling outside zone number 1 beautifully, letting the smoke pour off that Coyote powered E46. Taylor Braun right there, mimicking the line, good proximity from him into the touch and go. Big angle from Chad Anderson and a little correction coming out of the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Fills the zone beautifully and a great chase there from Taylor. A small correction there from Chad coming out of the touch and go into outside zone number 3.
Yeah, so again, phenomenal run by both drivers. They're throwing it down out there. It's definitely cool to see with the different horsepower levels, different grip levels, and different car setups, how these guys are able to maintain the proximity and just lay down solid laps for us to see here at Lake Erie Speedway.
So you see here in the live stream replay, all solid and kosher here through outside zone number 2 to the touch and go. Big angle right there from Anderson, making it a little bit difficult for Taylor to chase coming back out of there into outside zone number 3, but a good job recovering for both of those guys. Anderson able to put the loud pedal to the floor and get that thing to rotate around and head out towards zone number 3. Taylor Braun now in the lead. Chad Anderson now in chase. Taylor flicks into outside zone number 1. Maybe even a little bit deep right there on that yellow line. Chad Anderson right up against his door here into outside zone number 2. He closes that gap even closer now, nearly dragging the bumper off the K-rail into the touch and go. Still just trying to rub front wheels with Taylor Braun into outside zone number 3. And finishing off the run solid right up against his door. How's about it? Chad Anderson with a solid chase against Taylor Braun in this one more time battle.
Yeah, they set that up really well. That was a great run by both drivers. Awesome job, guys.
If you're watching the live stream at home, please drop a comment. Let us know who you're rooting for to win and where you're watching from. Also, give the stream a share. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, go ahead, copy that link and drop it on your social media. The action is packed, and there is no shortage of it. as on one side of the bracket here so far. One more time battle between Anderson and Braun. Great battle there between Alan Boss and Travis Holbrook. No shortage of action so far here in round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, presented to you by Moty's.
So now, the judges are up here discussing, what they're going to do as far as the result here. The judges have a real tough job, figuring out who's going to win, figuring out the points and stuff like that. But as you can see, it's up on the screen here if you're watching from home. Let's see what we've got. We've got Knapp on Braun and Maybach and Kelly on Chad Anderson, making Chad Anderson the winner, and he will advance to the next round.
Okay, so still in round number 1 here. If you're watching at home or you're on the property and you were late getting out of the trailer, or you're late jumping into the live stream, we are still in the first round of competition. We're getting ready to see Tony Schmidt and Aaron Spiegel battle it out for their chance to make it into the second round. Aaron Spiegel, hailing from Bowling Green, Ohio. And Tony Schmidt from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, driving that Corvette. Aaron Spiegel typically drives a Corvette, had a little bit of trouble with that, and had to pull out the backup car, so he's driving the Z here in competition.
I got to say, what a beautiful thing to have a backup car. I wish I had a couple of those. But, definitely nice to be able to, one car's giving you trouble, whip another one out of the garage, load it up on the trailer, you're good to go.
Tony Schmidt, Aaron Spiegel. Schmidt in the lead. Spiegel hit a cone on the way out, so that's going to be a restart here for these guys.
All right, so it looks like they're getting set up here for their reset on the exit from the chicane. There, it looks like Tony Schmidt hit that last cone. It looks like here they're off again. So Tony Schmidt in the lead, Aaron Spiegel chasing. Let's see what kind of lap they can lay down. Again, it's going to be a big horsepower difference between the LS car and the VQ car. Looks like Tony is missing a fender, but they're doing a great job carrying it along. Yep, peace out to that fender. Aaron Spiegel doing a great job keeping it on good proximity with Tony there. Tony doing a great job in the touch and go. Aaron Spiegel maintaining that proximity and then out into outer zone 3. Great run there. I just want to add, obviously, I'm sure Aaron saw that, the body panels were flying off the car. That adds a little bit of an extra level of sketchiness there. It's like, oh, is that gonna come out and whip the windshield on my car or what? You got to be paying attention and ready for that. And that's something that we discussed yesterday. Accident avoidance is just as important as being a good driver. I mean, you can be a great driver, but if you can't avoid an accident when someone else slips up, it's really no good. And unfortunately, it is something that it's bound to happen. People make mistakes. We're all human beings, and it's something you just got to be ready for. You have to account for it, and you really have to know what to do in that moment, which is hard because obviously there's always different variables. What am I going to do to avoid this? And you have split seconds to figure it out.
You can see an exchange here on grid between Tony and Aaron. I'm sure laughing about that fender flying off. But this is going to be an absolutely great battle because Tony laid down a heck of a lead run. So, Aaron had a really nice chase there on that lead run as well. If Aaron lays down equally as good of a lead run here, this could be really tough for the judges to score here between the two of them. as we see Sean heading down to talk to Tony Schmidt.
So it looks like his front bumper is just kind of hanging on by a couple threads there. So Sean's just asking, hey, you want to rip that off real quick so that way we don't got to worry about it. So we'll see what ends up happening with that.
Yeah, you get that bumper under your front tires, it's going to be compromising to your steer grip, that's for certain.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, a thing that's common with these drift cars, people are, they have like push button, clips to hold on bumpers and stuff like that, make it easier to load and unload on the trailers, whatever you got to do. Makes it easier for working on the car, stuff like that. So I'm not sure if he has a setup like that or if just, a couple bolts rattled loose. But it looks like he is going to pull off the track and rip that front bumper off so that way it doesn't hinder his run here. I think that's definitely the best decision because if that flew off, it would definitely not be too favorable.
While we have a moment here, just in case you forgot, the top 3 finishers of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series will receive a Link ECU, and the champion will be handed a Link ECU Pro Spec license. And thank you to Formula Drift for making that opportunity available to us here at Lake Erie Speedway with the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series. Take a look at the schedule real quick as Tony gets that bumper ripped off. Obviously, we're in round number 1 right now. Our next round is going to be July 21st and 22nd at the Summer Mats Erie weekend. It's another top 16 comp with a $1,000 payout and a $100 bonus to the top qualifier. Round number 3 will be September 1st and 2nd at Fall Mats Erie with a $1,000 purse and a $100 top qualifier bonus again. And then our finale round will be September 29th and 30th. And then we're going to have an absolute party with a jam sesh after the competition. It's going to be a top 32 competition with a $7,500 purse with a $500 top qualifier bonus. So if you're sitting at home in the drift car sitting in the garage and you just did not come out to Lake Erie Speedway, you need to get out here and compete for that $7,500 top 32 finale beyond a shadow of a doubt. As we get ready to roll here, we're going to move as Tony gets that bumper off. We're going to move on to Mike Steele and Elliott Rose. Steele going to lead first. Elliott Rose going to be in chase as these guys get set up. Lights are coming on. Mike Steele in that beautiful S14. Elliott Rose in chase. Mike Steele flicks to initiation into outside zone number 1 right there against that yellow line. Elliott Rose lacking a little bit in proximity, trying to close it up a little bit too much angle from Elliott Rose, unable to recover. Mike Steele going to have to finish this runoff with no hiccups through the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Fills outside zone number 3 right there up against the wall. So tough luck for Elliott Rose, having a little bit of trouble coming out of outside zone number 1 into outside zone number 2. As we take a look at the replay, you're going to see exactly what happens here if you missed it. So good initiation there from Mike Steele in the lead. Elliott Rose a little bit behind him, trying to choke up on the line a little bit to close that proximity. Throws a little bit too much angle at it. Just couldn't get back off of that angle lock. So unfortunately, not a great first run there for Elliott Rose.
I'll tell you what, both these cars out there with deliveries, they just look phenomenal. It really looks super cool to see these guys go at it and compete out here today. I kind of missed my livery on my car, I won't lie. It was kind of unfortunate to rip it off, but you got to find that fine balance between having a nice clean car and having a livery. You can't have both. You can't have both worlds with when it comes to that. But these guys really, the cars look slick. They're driving good. Excited to see what they do out here.
Elliott Rose in the lead. Mike Steele in the chase. Hit a cone on the way out. So we'll have a restart here for Elliott's lead run. And Elliott, I think, was having some power steering problems last night, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he was over in my pit asking me if I had a rack, which unfortunately I couldn't help him out with, but seems like he got it sorted out, or, dealing with it as it is. Brian talking about the liveries. I was talking to my buddy Zach Snyder, good friend of Brian's as well. He knows Alec Honadell a little bit, and was talking to him about that yellow and purple, or pink it was, Rain-X livery. We'll get back to the story here in a second. Elliott Rose in the lead. Mike Steele and Chase. Rose initiates. Mike Steele probably going to have a little bit of a conserved approach, but so far that is not the case, as Mike Steele painting it to Elliott Rose into outside zone number 2. Still right there, right against his door. Big angle from Elliott Rose in the lead. Beautiful lead run here from Elliott Rose. Mike Steele throwing it down behind him into outside zone number 3. Elliott comes up just a little bit shy. Absolutely killer run in the smoke show from Elliott Rose on the way out.
Listen to those cars scream, man. That was awesome. Great run by both drivers.
Lake Erie Speedway, I'm not hearing enough noise out of you guys. How's about it for these two throwing it down here in their first round run? Let's give these guys a hand. Let's get loud and rowdy and have a good time here.
I want to get the wave going in the bleachers over there. The last time it didn't work. People are boring. Really?
AJ said he didn't have it on yesterday, so I don't know if he turned it on or not. Decision is in, unanimous to Mike Steele for the win. That first run chase by Elliott, getting stuck on that angle lock, kind of killed him there, but an absolutely killer lead run by him there as we get ready to see Tony Schmidt chase Aaron Spiegel after taking that front bumper off the car. Beautiful livery there on Aaron's car as well.
Getting ready to send him out. And Aaron Spiegel in the lead. Tony Schmidt chasing. Aaron Spiegel setting it up real nice in outer zone 1 here. Tony trying to close up that gap as they go into outer zone 2 in the decel zone. Good job. Tony closing up that gap on Aaron Spiegel. Arriving in the touch and go here. Looks like they're maintaining some good proximity. And then out into outer zone 3. Keeps it real tight. Tony almost on Aaron's door. Whoa, real close there at the end. Real good job by both drivers. Aaron Spiegel laying down a solid run for Tony to chase there. Really good job by both drivers.
Absolutely, and got a feel for Tony, after last year having that little accident during the weekend and, having his hopes real high for the competition driving. So a solid run here between Schmidt and Spiegel. Spiegel, with less power, still able to fill all those zones beautifully. So very interesting, run there. We talk about that difference in horsepower. Spiegel having no trouble actually pulling away from him a little bit on initiation. As we wait a decision between Spiegel and Schmidt, we see Casey Rodriguez and Kevin Ferraro pulling up to the line here. Decision is coming.
Waiting on one more judge. Looks like a unanimous decision for Aaron Spiegel. Aaron Spiegel will advance to the Great 8 here at Lake Erie Speedway. Looks like we still got that nice overcast. Doesn't look like the sun's going to be beating on us too hard today. Thank goodness, because some of us are pasty white out here. We don't want to be going home looking like lobsters. So it'll be nice to have that little bit of cloud coverage, but still beautiful weather out here. It's not beating down on the track. We got a lot of dogs out there, so they're not going to be burning up their paws. works out well for everyone. So hopefully we get that cloud coverage for the rest of the day. Everything maintains and everything stays consistent for these drivers.
Lights are out. Kevin Ferraro in the lead. Casey Rodriguez and Chase Ferraro. Big speed into outside zone number 1. Casey doing a great job of matching that line. Coming into outside zone number 2. Closes that proximity hard. Big surge from Rodriguez as we see Kevin right up against the wall into the touch and go. Big angle from Kevin. Casey right there against his door into outside zone number 3. Right up against the Coca-Cola banner on the backstretch wall. Absolutely beautiful lead there from Kevin. Beautiful chase from Casey. So again, another tough battle for these judges to score here. You know, if Casey can throw down a lead run as good as Kevin just did, it's going to be a tough call here, Brian.
Yeah, definitely going to be a tough one for the judges. Thank God we're not judges, because I don't know if I'd be able to figure it all out. You know, I mean, I love to come out here and have fun, but when it gets into the technicalities, I am not the guy to go to ask. So, you know, definitely glad I'm on the other side of the booth and not in their shoes where they have to, you know, really crunch the numbers and figure everything out and look into all the nitty gritty there to make sure everything's, you know, a fair outcome for the drivers and to make sure they're, you know, scoring everything accordingly, you know, paying attention to everything and crossing the T's and dotting the I's, so to speak.
Ready for the second leg of this battle. Casey Rodriguez now in the lead. Kevin Ferraro now in chase. Tons of speed between these two cars. LS under the hood of the Z and Turbo M52 for Ferraro. Tons of speed in that car as well. They're off. Casey Rodriguez going to initiate into outside zone number 1 right there to the yellow line, maybe even a touch deep there. Is beautiful coverage from the drone footage. Kevin Ferraro getting big proximity, gonna make him have to straighten up a little bit coming out of outside zone number 1. Recovers well through outside zone number 2 to the touch and go. A little bit shallower than what Casey ran there to the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Closes in on that proximity as that LS is screaming under the hood of Casey Rodriguez's 350Z.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think a thing we didn't really touch on, another important factor is going to be how the drivers are initiating into outer zone 1 here. So obviously there's, you know, multiple different ways to get the car sideways. You know, you could, you know, a lot of people have like hydraulic handbrakes, clutch kick, you know, good old Scandinavian flick, weight transfer, whatever you want to call it. So it's important to understand how the other driver is going to initiate to kind of set yourself up to be, you know, in tight proximity within the within that first corner there, because I feel like if you're really not in tight proximity on the first corner, it makes it hard to catch up again further into the track.
Can we get the bracket real quick? Yeah. All right, so we are going to see our first battle of the Grade 8 between Heisman and Sampson. Scorers ready for Ferraro and Rodriguez. We're going to see a one more time. Kelly, the only one for Ferraro. One more time between Ferraro and Rodriguez going to come up. So one more battle to see here for the first round to decide between Ferraro and Rodriguez. But in the meantime, getting ready to launch round number 2 underway between Heisman and Sampson. LS is under the hood of both of these cars. Taking a look at the bracket on the screen there. Sorry, it got away from me. You know, Heisman wins against Farrell. Sampson wins against Gaston. Anderson wins over Braun. Boss wins over Holbrook on the left side of the bracket. So that set us up for this battle that we're about to see, Heisman and Sampson. On the other side, Moncallian knocks off Schuster. Spiegel knocks off Schmidt. Mike Steele going to beat Elliott Rose, and we still have to see that one more time battle between Kevin Ferraro and Casey Rodriguez to see who will face Mike Steele in the grade 8. That being said, we're getting ready to roll here for our first battle of the grade 8.
Real good lineup of drivers here in the grade 8. It's going to be super interesting to see who gets paired with who. You know, I'm really excited to see as the day goes on. These drivers just absolutely killing it out here.
Heisman into outside zone number 1. Sampson initiates right on his door. How's about it? Still painting it right to Heisman. Big angle, big smoke, tons of heavy pedal. Sampson right to the door through outside zone number 2. Big snap to angle here from Heisman into the touch and go. Sampson doing a great job of filling it. A little bit of a correction there from Sampson into outside zone number 3. A great lead run, a great chase run. How's about it, Lake Erie Speedway?
Let's give it up for these drivers. Definitely a great run for these guys.
Make some noise for these guys. You want it. You can make it happen. Get loud. Let them know that you're watching. Taking a look at the replay on the live stream. Big surge from Sampson into outside zone number 2. Absolutely phenomenal chase run there from Sampson. Great lead run for Heisman to allow it. And then a small correction there from Sampson from the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Man, I keep saying it. Sound like a broken record, but I mean, these guys are going to have a heck of a time making some of these calls here, going through the grade 8 as well here, Brian.
Yeah, it's the drivers are definitely not making it easy for the judges up here, so it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what they come up with here in the grade 8.
Getting ready to send Mike Sampson in the lead now, out in front of Adam Heisman. Sampson hit a cone on the way out, so we're going to have a restart again. If you weren't with us earlier, only 3 chances to get out of the chicane here. So Mike Sampson has 2 more attempts added here for his lead run. Did get to run a little bit last night with the Swamp Kids, Mike and Brett. Throwing it down hard last night at 11 o'clock. Always fun driving with those guys. Always can hear Mike's LS screaming in your ear when he's behind you.
And that is a cool opportunity. You know, obviously we get to drive with some of these competition drivers after the fact. But here they go into the first outer zone. Looks like they're keeping some pretty good proximity. Mike Sampson filling out the zone really well. That Mustang, man, that thing is an absolute ripper. You can tell they're both very comfortable behind the wheel of these cars. Looks like they're doing really good in outer zone 2, into the touch and go. Maintaining that proximity really well. A little shallow in the touch and go there, and then out into outer zone 3. Both drivers doing an excellent job keeping proximity. I mean, it's like a mirror image for these guys. Really, really good run for both drivers.
And that's the tough part, you know, when you have 2 really great chase runs, it almost comes down to those smaller corrections and errors in the lead run that can ultimately decide your fate. So, like I had said, it's going to be a tough call for these guys. Sampson really good through outside zone number 1 into outside zone number 2, straight to angle, fills the zone. Maybe a little bit shallow there through the middle, but right back to it, to the touch and go. Squeezes right on through the touch and go into outside zone number 3. Painting that back white line, letting the smoke roll, and then you'll see Heisman almost make some contact on the way out. Getting ready for our one more time battle here between Ferraro and Casey Rodriguez as we await a decision for our first battle of the grade 8 between Mike Sampson and Adam Heisman. Decisions coming. 2 for Heisman. Waiting on one more. and a one more time. So Heisman will advance with two votes for Heisman, one more time from our third judge. So we'll see the one more time battle between Kevin Ferraro and Casey Rodriguez. A great battle that first run. Solid lead runs from both drivers.
Kevin Ferraro setting himself up into that first outer zone 1 there. Casey Rodriguez maintaining really good proximity. Looks like the power levels are pretty comparable on these cars. These guys are having no wow. Oh, a little bit of collision there.
Contact.
Not sure who was at fault there. I guess we'll have to figure it out and you know, deliberate it from there.
Doesn't look like any damage. Kevin Ferraro steering the front end of that car to make sure that there's no bent suspension pieces. Gonna huck it out into outside zone number 3, but not sure if we can get the replay up. There it is. So when this comes back around here into outside zone number 2, get ahead of myself. Let's start with outside zone number 1. Good initiation right into outside zone number 1. And now you're going to see coming out outside zone number 1 into outside zone number 2, a huge surge here from Casey Rodriguez. Just a little touch to the wheel there. Stops the momentum of that driver's side front wheel for Kevin Ferraro and sends him around. I don't think that these guys are going to take any damage here. Might see a competition timeout, maybe to take a look at something. So it looks like Casey Rodriguez might be looking to take a hard right turn into the pits. Now they're going to come back up. So Casey Rodriguez is going to be at fault there for that contact in that big surge forward. So if Kevin Ferraro has taken any damage of the situation, he will not be forced to use his competition timeout. So Kevin Ferraro will head pit side to take a look at the front end of that car, just make sure that nothing's broken or bent under there. And Casey would have to use his competition timeout if he'd like to take a look at any damage.
Luckily, it did look like a rather light collision there between the two drivers. So hopefully they find that nothing's wrong with either of the cars, and we could set them back up to start drifting again.
And we're going to take a quick break to give a shout out to our couple of sponsors here for the Great Lakes ProAm Series. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Ultimate lubricant. Moty's.
Hey guys, Jeff Jones here.
I'm Dylan Hughes.
I'm Travis Reeder.
I'm Ken Gushin.
I'm Matt Field. I drive Link.
They are the most reliable EC around, and they always deliver. Their global tech support gives me the advice I need every time I need it.
Their products are super easy to install and easy to set up for the performance that I want.
They stand behind their products and support their customers. They're always innovating and delivering great new products and performance features.
I drive
Link.
Welcome back to Lake Erie Speedway for round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series presented by Moty's. Lake Erie Speedway driven by Pro Waste. We couldn't be here without Pro Waste and a ton of other people helping us out to make things happen around here. In just a moment, when we get the drones back up in the air, we'll take another nice little tour of the property. In the meantime, until we get that up, if you're watching at home, make sure that you drop a comment. Let us know who you're rooting for, where you're watching from, and who you'd like to see win the event here. What was your favorite battle so far? Taking a tour of the pits here, pit side of the Mats Erie weekend. You can see we jam them full here, as this road that we're going down is mainly our competition drivers that have been competing. But a lot of really beautiful vehicles here in our pits, and a lot of beautiful haulers too at that. So you take a look, got some people waving. Can see our tech barn over there. That's where Lake Erie Speedway provides our drivers tire machines, welders, all that different stuff to be able to make it through the weekend in case there's any trouble. And our pit building, where the Rusty Wheel is located. You can get your Spring Mats Erie t-shirts right over there at the tent just in front of it by the yellow barriers. Make sure that you stop by the Rusty Wheel, feed your appetite, and get nice and full. I personally recommend the Drifter myself is my favorite. Fly back down onto the track here. So, if you weren't able to make it out to the Speedway here to see competition here this morning, you can still stop out and enjoy all the fun of the weekend. We will be drifting here, exhibition drifting for the rest of the day, our A, B, and C group. You can come out, take a ride in a car if you have never, if you're interested in getting into drifting or maybe even building your own drift car. Plenty of helping hands, plenty of knowledge here on the property to help you do that. Take a ride. You can experience it from the passenger seat at no charge. All of our drivers, for the most part, I'm sure are willing to give you a ride along at some point in the weekend. With over 150 drivers here on the property, plenty of selection. You can ride in different cars, different engine swaps, different chassis, and learn quite a bit about the sport. So very exciting and a great opportunity here in our backyard of Erie, Pennsylvania, in beautiful Northeast, the grape country. Just a couple miles down the road from us, wineries all over the place out here. Absolutely beautiful to go on the wine tours. You can even get party buses, different stuff like that to take you around. And then later this year, we will actually have a wine festival here at the Speedway. Always a really good time, opportunities for vendors to get out and showcase their products, as well as our local wineries. If you are here with us, I'd like to talk real quick about the opportunity for you to have your business advertised here at the Speedway. Obviously, we do live streams for all of the Great Lakes Pro-Am rounds throughout the year. So you get some national exposure to hundreds, if not thousands, of people, as well as hundreds, if not thousands of people throughout the year over our course of events. So if you'd like to get involved in marketing your business here at the Lake Erie Speedway, please shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram, or go ahead and give us a call at the front office. We'd be glad to get you some information on how you could get involved with that. as we see Casey Rodriguez back up to the line after that contact between him and Kevin Ferraro. So what's our official stance at the moment? So Casey Rodriguez was found at fault in that contact there. After the battle is concluded, he will have the opportunity to protest that decision if he would like to, as he will go to the lead and Kevin Ferraro will now be in the chase.
You want me to tell her to go away? Go away? Take that money and save it? Alrighty, and they're off. Casey Rodriguez in the lead. Kevin Ferraro chasing. Let's see what kind of lap they put down for us here. Looks like they're going real good into outer zone 1 there. Carrying some good proximity. It looks like both cars are definitely dialed in. Looks like no problems with that minor collision before. Kevin Ferraro really keeping it on Casey's door there. Going into the touch and go here. Looks like both of them are going to show up a little shallow in the touch and go, and then out into outer zone 3. Lots of tire smoke, lots of throttle from both cars. Looking pretty good. I mean, I feel like the only issue right there was really that touch and go. It looks like outer zone 1 they carried through pretty well, as well as outer zone 2. Like we discussed earlier, you know, it's super important to set yourself up right in that outer zone 2 to kind of carry your momentum through that touch and go to make sure you're, you know, right where you need to be, right in between those rectangular lines there. That's going to be like the most important part, that you want to pretty much center your rear tires within that boundary there. And then that's pretty much how you set yourself up for success when you're doing competition driving. And obviously, you know, not only you're worrying about where your car is, but you want to be, you know, within an acceptable proximity of the other driver without, you know, booping the other driver.
Getting ready to make a decision here. Everybody slides them left for Kevin Ferraro. Kevin Ferraro going to advance into the grade 8 as we're getting ready to see our second battle of the grade 8 between Alan Boss and Chad Anderson. This one is going to be a smoke show, and if you're not entertained already, I'd be surprised if you're not, but you're about to be.
Yeah, both of these cars, high horsepower cars, both very talented drivers, both very loud cars, and you know, it's gonna get pretty cloudy out here with these guys. So super excited to see both of these guys going up against each other, and you know, we're just waiting on the lights.
Second battle of the grade 8, getting ready to send Chad Anderson in the lead in front of Alan Boss. Chad Anderson through the chicane into outside zone number 1, initiates hard. Alan Boss right to the door. Tons of smoke rolling off of it, nice and smooth all the way through outside zone number 1. Maybe even a touch coming into outside zone number 2. Get on your feet, Lake Erie Speedway. Alan Boss throwing it down in the chase. A beautiful lead here from Chad Anderson. Alan still sticking it right to the Big Duck Club door of Chad Anderson, right up against the wall. How's about it?
Let's
Lake
give it up
Erie
for these drivers,
Speedway.
Lake Erie. That's exactly what the judges are looking for. Now the only issue is that makes it extremely hard for them to figure out who's going to take the W on that.
So a great lead there from Chad. We're watching on the replay here into outside zone number 2. Allen just painting it to the door. Little bit shallow in the chase there from Allen in outside zone number 2 to maintain that proximity. But Chad filling all the zones, so we know that Chad's going to bring the heat in the chase. So Allen's Got to hit his marks here. Again, another one that's going to be terribly hard to call for the judges. As Chad's getting set there for his chase run. Alan Boss, Chad Anderson. Alan Boss in the lead, Chad Anderson in chase now. Chad initiates right to Alan's door, all the way out through outside zone number 1, painting that yellow line. Right up against the door is Anderson. Early transition, maybe a little bit of contact into outside zone number 2. Alan painting the outside zones here very well. Incredible chase here from Chad Anderson into outside zone number 3, right up against that back wheel, straight up to that Coca-Cola banner. How's about it? Putting on a show out here.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one there. I mean, they were riding that wall in outer zone 3. That was awesome to see.
Allen initiates outside zone number 1. You see that wheel right against that yellow line. That's exactly what you're looking for. Chad Anderson almost with a boop there into outside zone number 2. A little bit early on transition. Sucks him right up to the door. Alan Boss into the touch and go. Beautiful job by Allen. Beautiful job of mimicking it by Chad. And then a little bit wide into outside zone number 3. These guys are just putting on a show for these fans here at Lake Erie Speedway and everybody watching at home. And the decision is in a unanimous decision. Alan Boss will move on.
I just want to say a quick shout out to Fabulous Auto Details for making my Miata look right while I'm up here in the booth. While you're out here this weekend, if you want to get your car detailed, find us on the other side of the of where the pits are, right under the grandstands. If you want to get your car cleaned, come on over.
Matt Moncallian in lead. Hit that last cone on the way out of the chicane, so going to be a reboot again. Only 3 shots at the restart here, so 2 more chances for Matt to make it out of the chicane. Going to be a very interesting battle here. You know, obviously the K-Series under the hood of Matt's car, but I would imagine somewhat of a comparable power level between these 2 cars. And both very exciting drivers, phenomenal chase drivers as well. So see what Matt can lay down here in the lead for Aaron. And they're off again. Matt Moncallian out the chicane, no cones hit, initiates into outside zone 1. Aaron right to the door of Matt Moncallian. A little bit inside here for Aaron through outside zone number 1, but great proximity. Nice transition. Jumps right back up to the door of Moncallian. Moncallian doing a great job of filling the outside zones. Into the touch and go. Aaron right up against his door. Finishing off the run strong, maybe a little bit wide in the lead chase. Great lead run there from Matt Moncallian in the first leg of this battle.
Yeah, that was great to see. You know, it's almost, I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's pretty crazy to see both the 350Zs. Definitely both different power levels at this point with Matt having that K-Series in that car. But, you know, it goes to show, I mean, sometimes power isn't so much of an aspect where, you know, if you really know how to wheel the car, you can certainly keep up and make the adjustments properly to keep up with a higher power car. It's not always easy, obviously, but sometimes, you know, you figure it out and you can make it happen. And it looks like that's what Aaron Spiegel is able to do out here.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Brian. You know, we didn't really see that. It almost looked like, you know, like almost a grip struggle there for Aaron, as he must have dialed some more grip into the car here. So kind of struggling to maintain that wide line with Matt. Is Aaron going to take the lead now in front of Moncallian? Aaron enters into outside zone number 1, right up against that yellow line, even dropping a tire potentially going in to outside zone 1. Moncallian right up against the door into outside zone number 2. A big surge from Moncallian up to the door of Aaron Spiegel into the touch and go. Aaron comes up just a little bit shy and a little bit wide coming out of the touch and go, hitting a cone there. Moncallian right up against that rear tire and surging forward, almost contact coming out of outside zone number 3. A great lead from Spiegel and a great chase coming from Matt Moncallian.
That's definitely going to be harder for the judges to decide on. I mean, both drivers did an excellent job. Everything they were supposed to do, carried out all the zones, hit the touch and go, covering all 3 zones really well. Definitely an excellent job by both drivers. We love to see it.
All right, so now we will see Kevin Ferraro versus Mike Steele. Mike Steele in the lead. Beautiful liveried S chassis for Mike Steele. Decision coming in between Moncallian and Spiegel. Everybody slides him to the right for Spiegel. Aaron Spiegel will advance over Matt Moncallian. Matt Moncallian going too deep into outside zone number 3, dropping some tires. Going to ultimately end up costing him.
So next up, we've got Kevin Ferraro and his BMW and Mike Steele in that Nissan S chassis car. Let's see how they stack up against each other. Looks like Mike Steele going into outer zone 1 there. Really filling in the zone really well. Lots of tire smoke, lots of throttle. Kevin Ferraro keeping it right on his door. Into diesel zone and then into outer zone 2. Both drivers doing an excellent job maintaining proximity. Into the touch and go. It looks like both of them a little shallow on the touch and go there. A couple clutch kicks to get the car broken up again. And then into outer zone 3. So I think another important thing that we really haven't mentioned, obviously outer zone 2 is super important to set yourself up into the touch and go. But if you don't really, hit the touch and go properly, it's also super hard to carry yourself out into outer zone 3. So really it is so crucial to set yourself up in the first turn to kind of, ensure your success throughout the rest of the track. Because if if you make a mistake in one of the parts, it's super hard to recover. It's super hard to get the car back out to where you need it to be, depending on where you are on the track.
Yeah, and we saw that earlier. I think it was Chad Anderson throwing it into that touch and go. Just you get a little bit too much angle behind it. And, as we talked about in the qualifying live stream, some of those rubber pebbles start building up out there. You lose a little bit of grip, and then next thing you know, you're on your lock and could be tough to drive off of it. So maybe just a little bit too aggressive on angle going into the touch and go. As Kevin Ferraro now in the lead in front of Mike Steele. Nice initiation from Kevin right there against the yellow line. Mike Steele absolutely shredding up against that door. Kevin Ferraro surges in transition into outside zone number 2. Look at him. He's right there. Touch and go. Nice lead run here from Ferraro. A little bit wide there from Mike Steele in the chase into outside zone number 3. Both those guys fill the zones. A great battle here between Kevin Ferraro and Mike Steele.
Yeah, an excellent run for both drivers. And, like we've been saying, it's going to be difficult for these judges to decide who's going to advance on this run here. Both drivers doing a phenomenal job. The cars are really dialed in. Excited to see what they have to say and see who's going to advance into the, I guess we'll call it the top 4, right?
The final 4, if you will.
The final 4. Sounds much better than top 4.
Awaiting a decision between Ferraro and Mike Steele. Adam Heisman now in the backstretch warming up his tires for his battle against Alan Boss. Matt Moncallian up here by the booth, potentially a protest on his run, potentially. I'd be calling it. A massive right hook from Moncallian. A one more time battle here between Steele and Ferraro. The decision is in. Steele and Ferraro will get to see another battle here to determine who will advance. As an absolute thriller between those guys, as I'm sure we're going to see that again in the one more time battle. As Heisman now will lead Boss. Heisman in that red Mustang, LS Power under the hood. Boss driving the 350Z with the LS9 under the hood. Big power, big angle in both of these cars. This one's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, like I said before, Heisman's car is super dialed in. I mean, I've never seen anyone else drive a Mustang like that ever in my life. So definitely cool to see. Maybe it'll inspire a couple people to get on Marketplace and buy up some of these cars and hit up Heisman and ask him what he's got going on there, because the car definitely works really well. After this battle, we're going to go ahead and take a couple-minute break just to kind of reset up here and, give us a good stretch. Maybe go outside. We got the AC cranking in the booth. So, give us a little stretch, give us some time. Maybe hit up the Rusty Wheel, get some food. It's a beautiful day out here at Lake Erie Speedway.
Heisman in the lead. Alan Boss in chase. Heisman out of the chicane. Initiates into outside zone 1. Alan Boss right there up against him. Filling the zone beautifully, matching that line and angle. Right up against the door into outside zone number 2. Big surge. Gets shuffled up a little bit with a little bit of grip forward from Alan Boss. Right back to the door of Heisman. He knows he's going to have to throw down a solid chase run here. And he does just that. A beautiful lead, a ton of smoke. Alan Boss absolutely throwing it down to the door of Heisman with a beautiful lead out front.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I mean, both these drivers are absolute animals behind the wheel.
Yeah, and that's not the last of this that we're going to see, I'm sure, as we're getting into the heat of it. You see on the replay here, Alan Boss a little bit shallow through outside zone number 2. So we'll see what Heisman does here in the chase, but Alan going to have to throw down a solid lead run. As I was mentioning, Alan had to have known there towards the end of that run that he needed that proximity and that wow factor in his chase run, knowing that it was a solid lead run. Now he's going to have to match that with little to no air. Is Heisman a solid lead out front of Boss?
I'll tell you what, Heisman's about to have me on Facebook Marketplace looking for a Mustang, man. The way he's wheeling this car, I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And they're off. Let's see. Alan Boss throwing it in nice and deep into outer zone 1 here. Heisman doing a great job maintaining the proximity. Wow, these drivers are paired up super well. Doing a really good job in outer zone 2 here, and as they come into the decel zone and into the touch and go, both drivers doing a phenomenal job. Holy moly, I don't know how these judges are going to figure this one out. What a great run for both drivers. Into outer zone 3. Get up on your feet, everyone. Let's give them a round of applause. Awesome, awesome run by both drivers. Phenomenal, phenomenal job.
Well, let them hear it as they drive past you here, Lake Erie Speedway. These guys putting on a show trying to get that $1,000 as we take a look at the replay. Alan Boss all the way through outside zone number 1. Heisman right there against his door. Into outside zone number 2. Filling the zone very nicely. Going to be a tough call here for the judges. These lead runs are almost identical. Beautiful chase run from Heisman. Beautiful chase run from Boss. Going to be a tough one to call here.
Just waiting on the judges to come up with a decision here. It's going to be a real difficult one to make. I'll tell you what, Ben, I'm honestly hoping for some one more times. Oh, it looks like they're on the board, and we got, let's see, waiting for one more. Waiting for Mr. Knapp. Looks like it's going to be unanimous for Heisman. Congratulations, and that Ford Mustang, absolutely killing it out there. Great run from both guys. That had to have been very difficult for the judges to figure that one out. We're going to go ahead and take a couple-minute break. Hang in here with us. If you're watching from home, thank you very much for watching. And if you're out there in the stands, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. Make sure you're staying hydrated out there. Get some good food from the Rusty Wheel. Make sure you take a pit walk, talk to some drivers. If this is your first time out to a drift event, feel free to just stop in the pits. If you walk down the first row, we got Team Vacation out there. The whole team willing to talk to you, willing to help you out, get you set up with a car or anything. So, we'll be right back with you guys.
Ultimate lubricant. Moty's.
Hey guys, Jeff Jones here.
I'm Dylan Hughes.
I'm Travis Reeder.
I'm Ken Gushin.
I'm Matfield. I drive Lincoln.
They are the most reliable ECU around, and they always deliver. Their global tech support gives me the advice I need every time I need it.
Their products are super easy to install and easy to set up for the performance that I want.
They stand behind their products and support their customers. They're always innovating and delivering great new products and performance features.
I drive
Link.
Welcome back to round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series presented by Moty's. We're getting ready to come back for a one more time battle between Mike Steele and Kevin Ferraro. LS power under the hood of Mike Steele's S chassis. M52 turbo under the hood of Kevin Ferraro's BMW. Again, if you're watching from home on the live stream, give the stream a share. Tag a friend in the comments that needs to be witnessing the action. You haven't missed too much yet. The best is yet to come as we get ready for this one more time battle. Drop a comment. Let us know who you're rooting for, where you're watching from. Hopefully next time you can make it out to the Speedway. Smell the smoke and fuel burning. Mike Steele into outside zone number 1 in the lead. Kevin Ferraro in chase. Following the line and angle very well. Picking up the proximity into outside zone number 2, Ferraro. Mike Steele throwing down a solid lead run here through the touch and go. Kevin Ferraro closes in that proximity into outside zone number 3. Hard on the left foot brake for Mike Steele. In a killer lead run for Mike Steele, Kevin Ferraro did a great job of mimicking the angle and line.
Yeah, I'd have to say these cars pair up pretty well. I mean, they looked really good out there, laying down a solid run, maintaining the zones really well, getting some good tire smoke, really letting her eat. Love to see it.
So while we got a quick second, I'm sorry, jump back. Zach Snyder and Alec Honadale talking about his livery on the Rain-X car. Fun fact for you, Alec Honadale actually lays every layer of his livery on his car, and it is not professionally done. He does it by himself. Back to battle here. Kevin Ferraro in the lead, Mike Steele and Chase right to the door. Mike Steele drifting a little bit outside of zone number 1. Kevin Ferraro into outside zone number 2. Big surge from Mike Steele. Filling the zone beautifully. Great lead run so far here from Ferraro. Mike Steele sucking right up to the door into outside zone number 3. Great lead run from Kevin Ferraro.
I don't know. I think it's gonna be another difficult one, Ben. I mean, the judges have a lot to figure out here. I just noticed on Mike Steele's roof of his car, he's got the American flag, and that looks absolutely sick. Looks really, really good. It goes really well with that livery too. I mean, that car just looks sharp, man.
And that's what made me think about that Honadale livery. Was Mike Steele's livery with a ton of detail in it, as you can see in the replay. Two solid lead runs here. As Brian had mentioned, another tough one to call here. See what happens between Steele and Ferraro. Who's going to move on? Who's going to be drifting for fun for the rest of the weekend?
So I do just want to say real quick, if you are looking for a sick livery for your car, reach out to Joe Sansone with Upside Works. He specializes with doing things like, making any kind of apparel for your business. I know he did liveries for cars, and he's kind of in it, kind of not in it. I know it's a lot of work, a lot of commitment to do so, but, cash talks, you know what I mean? But Joe Sanso did a livery for my car years ago and did a phenomenal job. But the results are up. Looks like unanimous decision for Kevin Ferraro. So congratulations to Kevin. He'll be moving on to the next round.
All right, so getting set for the final four. Kevin Ferraro, obviously just advancing from that battle, will now face Aaron Spiegel. So going to give a couple minutes here for Kevin Ferraro to do anything that he might need, swap some tires, make any adjustments that he might want to make. Looks like Ferraro is happy. Just going to jump right back in here with Aaron Spiegel. Spiegel in that 350Z. I'd also like to say, I know Brian mentioned Fabulous Detail. I also had Fabulous Detail detail my drift car when I got here this weekend. So does an absolutely phenomenal job. If you have that grime or tire buildup, you know, in your trunk space or your wheel wells, absolutely phenomenal job of getting it cleaned up and looking like new again. For any of your needs, whether it's, you know, your regular car, your drift car, your RV, I'm sure be willing to help get you right. Fabulous Detail.
It looks like we got Kevin Ferraro out here getting the car set up, going against Aaron Spiegel. It's going to be a real interesting run for both of these guys. You know, again, we got a turbo BMW versus, you know, a seemingly stock VQ car. So, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a horsepower deficit, and it's going to be super interesting to see how these guys are going to stack up against each other. Both super talented drivers, and I'm real excited for the lights to go green.
And they're off. Kevin Ferraro in the lead. Aaron Spiegel and Chase. Ferraro initiates outside zone number 1. Right out to the yellow line. Spiegel right to his doors. Big surge here from Spiegel into outside zone number 2, closing on that proximity. Big angle from Ferraro into the touch and go. Way more angle there again from Ferraro. Pulls away a little bit from Spiegel into outside zone number 3. But overall, a really good job by Aaron Spiegel with that horsepower difference to stick it right there with Kevin.
Yeah, I think you know, especially he usually drives a Corvette, so he really needs to change his driving style for the Z. It's definitely, you know, obviously with the horsepower differences, I'm sure there's a grip difference. I'm sure you're running a bigger tire on a Vet compared to a Z. Maybe not significant, but definitely going to be a little different. And, you know, I'm sure suspension differences and stuff like that. So pretty incredible that he could, you know, have a normal car that he drives and then get behind the wheel of another car and still, you know, wheel it out there, and does a really good job of doing so.
Now we will flip the roles. Aaron Spiegel to the lead. Kevin Ferraro and Chase. A great lead run by Kevin. So Aaron's really got to hit his marks here. I'm sure Kevin will be putting on the pressure in the chase. Well, Aaron gets a good jump on Kevin out the gate. Kevin closes quickly into outside zone number 1. Little bit of a difference in proximity there. Heading into outside zone number 2. Closes that gap right up. Spiegel deep into outside zone number 2. Out to the touch and go. Fills the touch and go very nice. Maybe stays a little bit long. And outside zone number 3. Kevin Ferraro right there. Boy, be an interesting decision here in outside zone number 2 to see just how deep Spiegel got there.
So that's like how we mentioned before. You know, it's absolutely crucial for the lead driver to stay within those boundaries to make it possible for the chase driver to, you know, put down a good lap as well to maintain the proximity. So we'll have to see what happens with that, what the judges see in the replay, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, as you saw on the replay there, at least one tire out of outside zone number 2 for Spiegel on his lead run there. But that's, you got to be committed to it. So, there's a fine line there between being too committed or not committed enough. And if you undercommit, you're going to miss that zone. And I'm telling you, it's kind of hard to tell from the live stream. I'm sure if you're here, but, if you haven't been in the passenger seat yet, that outside zone number 2 is not an easy zone to hit. It's an oblong corner. Decision is in here for Spiegel versus Ferraro. Ferraro will advance into the championship round. If he didn't do that, it probably would have been really tough. Yeah.
You think we're slacking down here, Scott? Well, we're not. We got it handled.
Taking a look back here in the pits. Kevin Ferraro wasting no time as you see him just sitting there up in the pits. No need to go look at it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Again, if you're watching from home, we're getting really close to a championship battle here for round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series presented by Moty's. Tag your friends, share the stream. The action is not done yet, and there has been no shortage of it. Saying hi to the fans and other drivers of the Mats Erie weekend back here against the backstretch wall. Give the social medias a follow at Lake Erie Speedway on social, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. You can get on our website, check out our schedule of events for the year. We do have racing here at the Speedway as well. Crash-A-Rama is always a good time. Trailer and boat races, figure 8 races, school bus figure 8 races, all that fun stuff. As I had mentioned earlier, we have a wine tour here at the Speedway and a couple of new events this year. If you're local to the Erie area and you're watching the stream or you're here on property as a spectator, we will have an event later this year at the Speedway that will be a spectator drag and Aussie-style burnout competition. We've never had anything like it. You can bring your car right from your driveway to the Speedway, do some racing, see what you can beat, and then at the end of it, if you decide, hey, I want to see what kind of damage I can do to my rear tires, go ahead and bring that thing on out here and let's do some carnage. Also going to have a rodeo at the Speedway this year, so that'll be fun. A new thing for us, an uncharted territory.
So we just want to give a huge shout out to some of our sponsors here: Pro Waste Services, JMI, Rocket 105, Z1023, Safford, JMI, Dave Hallman, Chevrolet. We got all kinds of sponsors out here helping us and making these events possible to bring to you guys. Especially Link ECU, Pro Waste Services, and especially our event sponsor is going to be Moty's, so we really appreciate Moty's coming out and helping us out to put this event together for everyone.
So the second battle for the Final Four.
So this will be the final battle. We're going to seat third based on qualifying. So, this is the final round here, and then we're going to kick it back into the group driving. I'm not exactly sure which group is going to start us off. We will be live on YouTube, the Great Lakes ProAm Series on YouTube at 6 p.m. If you guys want to stop back and watch some grassroots drivers. Don't let that alter your opinion there, because some of these grassroots drivers are absolute animals, just like these competition drivers. We get crazy with the tandems, 5, 6, 7 cars. It'll definitely be a good time, but they are off.
$1,000 on the line. Heisman, Ferraro, enter outside zone number 1. Heisman real wide through outside zone number 1. Painting that yellow line black with that tire. Into outside zone number 2. Ferraro surges forward. Big angle. Coming up a little bit short coming out of outside zone number 2. A solid lead run thus far by Heisman. Way out into the touch and go into outside zone number 3. A beautiful lead run. Absolutely smoking the tires on that LS-powered
Heisman
Mustang.
has that car dialed in, my guy. That is unbelievable, the driving that's coming out of that Mustang. He's not out here killing crowds. He's out here killing it on the track.
Yeah, you can see here in the replay, Ferraro tried to surge up to his door. It left him a little bit short coming out of outside zone number 2. Again, as you heard me talk about the last couple of battles here, I mean, it's really just going to come down to the airs in the lead run almost for the most part. So we'll see how much pressure Heisman wants to put on Kevin here. Kevin going to have to throw down a solid lead run to follow up what Heisman just threw. Heisman sitting a couple feet back here on the starting line to get a good run up, so he's going to throw it down here against Kevin's door. After this run, we will have a champion of round number 1, Ferraro, Heisman, and Chase. Hits the cone on the way out. You could cut the tension in the air with a razor blade. Who will be the winner of round number 1 of the Great Lakes ProAm Series? Ferraro or Heisman?
Throw it down in the comment section below. Who do you want to win? Who do you think's going to win? Let's see it.
Getting ready to send Ferraro and Heisman out the chicane. Ferraro initiates into outside zone number 1, really wide. Maybe even over that yellow line, but he's got to throw it all on the line. This is make it or break it. Heisman glues up to the door through outside zone number 2. Big angle from Ferraro. Bumper comes off of the Mustang, hits him in transition. Right up against his door into outside zone number 3. Put your hands together for Kevin Ferraro and Adam Heisman. Absolutely throwing it down here. Who is going to take the win? What a battle.
That was wild. That was absolutely unbelievable to watch. I mean, both of these drivers are just animals out there.
So we take a look at the replay. Coming out of outside zone number 2, maybe a little bit of contact in transition here between Ferraro. Yep, just a skim of the bumper there. Could hardly fit a piece of paper in there, but does not affect his line or angle or any of that stuff. No correction, so no harm, no foul, just some cosmetic damage to the front of that Mustang.
Joe, grab his headlight too.
Again, we'd like to thank Formula Drift for making the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series happen for us. And, of course, our presenting sponsor, Moty's, for making it possible as well. Link ECU out here to support these guys as we await a decision from the judges. Who's going to take round number 1? What do you guys think, Lake Erie Speedway? probably just like the drop of. Again, the third place finisher will be seeded by qualifying. First and second, obviously, will be determined between Heisman and Ferraro. As we get those guys over there underneath the Great Lakes ProAm inflatable on track entry to decide who the winner will be. But, I mean, come on. If you're watching at home, what a show these guys put on here today. Really raising the bar. We had some really great competition last year, but it seems like these guys really came to play here today. Third was for
It's gonna go up on the screen, right? It's gonna pop up on here. Sorry. When do you want us to do it?
third, second, first.
Alrighty, in third place we've got Alan Boss.
And coming in second will be Kevin Ferraro.
Making our first place winner, Mr. Heisman, in that red Mustang. Congratulations to all the drivers. Phenomenal driving out there. And you really put on an awesome show for us here at Lake Erie Speedway today.
Everybody who joined us on the live stream, everybody who joined us here at the track, we really appreciate you. Thanks for dropping your comments, letting us know where you were watching from as we take a look at the final bracket here. Third place finisher, Alan Boss. Second place finisher, Kevin Ferraro. And your champion of round number 1 of the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series, Adam Heisman.
Hey boys, let's see some burnouts down there after you get those after you get that photo shoot done. We want to see some tire smoke under that Great Lakes ProAm Series blimp, or not the blimp, the whatever you want to call it, the arch there. Damn, we got money out here. We got blimps.
As I had mentioned before, if you're still here on the stream, we will be live tonight at 6 p.m. To do some live streaming of the grassroots drifting. As you can see, our finalists here receiving their prizes and awards and trophies. That's Kevin Ferraro there in the middle, Alan Boss on the left, and Adam Heisman on the right. Congratulations to Adam on taking round number 1. So make sure you tune back in at 6 p.m. to the Great Lakes Pro-Am Series YouTube page, and you can watch hours and hours of shredding, live shredding. This isn't, pre-recorded. This isn't made up. You're going to see maybe some wrecks. I hope not, but maybe some wrecks, maybe some Jersey barriers, maybe some serious tandems. Who knows? You might even catch a nasty fireball coming out the hood or a tailpipe of somebody's car. as Alan Boss starts burning them down in the pits. That LS9 screaming.
Well, now no one can see anything, so we're going to wait for that to dissipate a little bit, and then we're going to get another burnout, hopefully. Let's see it.
I don't know. Heisman's rolling backwards.
Oh, yeah. Kevin's letting her eat. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Heisman drops it onto the on-ramp. I think he's going to give us a rowdy one here.
All right, Heisman, make it happen. Let's see it. Woo-wee! Absolutely letting that Mustang eat. Good old NASCAR celebration there. Love to see it. Alrighty, everyone. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you guys again on the live stream at 6 p.m. tonight. But for now, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we hope everyone has a great day.